I've heard it all in my career. All the bullshit excuses and the lies people tell themselves. They say things like, I'll start Monday. It's not my fault. It's not fair. I'm too damn tired. Or my personal favorite, I don't have enough time.
Can't no nigga get me out my zone. Better watch your girl, better keep her close. Cause when she with me, never say no. When I hit the stage, I'm an animal. Yeah. When I hit the stage, I'm an animal. No, I cannot stop, man, I'm in my mode. I'ma stack it up, I'ma get this dough. I'ma clap it up, she gon' drop it low. I'ma throw these ones, I'ma throw some more. I'ma throw these ones, I'ma throw some more. Hit it on the rock, hit it on the floor. But that girl not mine, so I'm still alone. But that girl not mine, so I'm still alone. Said she's DTF for tickets to the show. Yeah, I have it my way when I'm on the road. She know that I get the guap, so she gonna come this way. We got all the fun. Drop it this way. We got all the ones. Shake it this way. Bitch, diamonds on my arm. Yeah, my wrist straight. You know that I get the guap, so she gonna come this way. We got all the fun. Drop it this way. We got all the ones. Shake it this way. We got all the guns. Don't come this way. I'm gonna drop it real.
Yo! Fuck off!
As much hate as the Groundhogs take for being bad or not knowing football well, they're really what this league was built upon. Just a bunch of guys having fun together playing football. Now, going into opening day of our first season, the Groundhogs, much like this season, were being hibernated on, slept on, just does not do it any justice. Everyone expected them to just be a dumpster fire. Now, come opening day, this is when we were doing 2v2 still. It was supposed to be Ulrich and Tyler. Tyler had an encounter with the law. He was unable to play, so their loyal fan, Nick Gelati, finally got his chance to play in the big game.
I got recruited essentially to fill in for the missing hole in everybody's heart that Tyler Coleman once held before he got into some difficult legal troubles that I can't really speak on. But, you know, I had a lot of weight on my shoulders, a lot of hype to live up to, as someone would who's filling in for Tyler, because, you know, he's a great player, great team player, and really intimidating man.
On October 4th, 2019, Tyler Coleman was arrested on 3 charges: a felony firearms charge, a felony drug possession charge, and a misdemeanor theft charge.
Hello, my name is Tyler Christopher Coleman. I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm currently being held here in Broward County, Florida, for 2 charges. One charge is the possession of marijuana, and the second charge is a gun charge. I had me in legal Ruger 22, which I have bought illegally using a different name, which has caused me to not play in the first season of the BFL. How does this make me feel? Not good. Knowing that I'm sustained in here, being tormented by my peers, set, slammed, I just don't know. Being held in here has changed me as a person. I feel like I got older. I feel like I've gotten stronger. I'm ready to hit the field. I keistered an iPad to keep creating music, and I want to get out on that field, man.
The Missouri Groundhogs. Man, where do I even start? I guess I'll take you right back to the beginning. So basically, I was brought up onto the team by wonderful Ulrich Mayer. So I went into the first games just ready to eat up, ready to kill, you know. I knew what had to be done, and really I think we got that done, you know.
Now, the first day of BFL, opening day, I just remember everyone being really excited. It was such high energy while everyone was playing. And I just remember being on the sidelines watching all these hilarious moments go down, and that's when I just knew that this was going to be a success. And as for the Groundhogs, they actually ended up winning a game that day, which winning 1 out of 4 games, that's not really something that you're usually excited about, but for this team it was, because going into this game, they were expected to go 0-16. And now I'd just like to share the uncut moment of their first win because it's hilarious. It's gold.
Deep. Mr. Marks recovers. He gets the touchdown.
This is still one of my favorite moments, even after how far we've come. I mean, it's just a classic. Just the fumble recovery against one of the best teams in the league, and then everyone just goes berserk on the sidelines. It's just a classic. Now, in week 2 for the Groundhogs, there was a huge change, and it came at the hands of Shane Skiff. Essentially, at that time, we started expanding the league. We didn't want 2-person teams anymore. We wanted bigger teams because there were problems with attendance and such. So Shane Skiff joined the Groundhogs, and he was a force. He was easily the best player in the league at the time, could even be still to this day, and he ended up carrying the Groundhogs to winning 3 out of their next 4 games, and really put them on the map. And from that point on, it really looked like this small-town team that didn't know the rules, didn't know how to play, didn't really have any star players, could, behind Skiff, make a run at the Super Bowl. At this point, they were 4-4. They had a couple new players that were still waiting to get their chance to play. They looked like they were going to be scary.
Shane Skiff, you made your debut today. You came out of the gates hot, lit the league on fire. What do you have to say?
It was a great game out there. We connected on some nice passes, had some nice reads. I'm thankful for the man upstairs for watching over us. I'm just proud of our performance.
Week 3 ended up truly being the beginning of the end for the Groundhogs. In week 3, our first ever Jamboree, another historical event that the Groundhogs were involved in, they ended up playing 2 games against the Arkansas Razorbacks and only won 1 of them with all their new additions. And apparently, this was not up to par for Shane Skiff, as he ended up making a move that would change the scape of the BFL forever. On October 10th, 2019, Shane Skiff agreed to a deal that would see him depart from Missouri and join the Denver Do-Rags. This news came just a few days after the first ever Jamboree, where Missouri took a loss to Arkansas, who was seeded as the worst team in the league at the time. His time on the Groundhogs truly was short, but he left a lasting mark on the organization. Following his decision to leave, he saw all of his former teammates begin to refer to him as a snake. The Missouri organization fell into chaos, seeing a transfer of ownership from Tyler Coleman to Ulrich Meyer, and then finally Ulrich Meyer announced his retirement. All of that traction they once had with Skiff on their roster was gone. They ended up going from 5-5 to 6-10, with their only other win being a forfeit. The Groundhogs actually met the Do-Rags with Skiff now on their roster, and they ended up dropping both games. In the final days of the regular season, they ended up picking up a defensive back and quarterback, Greg Bliss, who would help soothe the pain of the loss of Skiff a little bit. They also picked up Ben Hershowitz, a promising and versatile player. They saw themselves tumbling into the playoffs with a lackluster roster and a 6-10 record. In an interview with Ulrich Meyer, he admitted that by taking ownership of the Missouri Groundhogs, he had accepted a great financial burden. He also admitted that the debt that he'd accumulated was a big part of allowing Shane Skiff to be traded. He simply needed to clear up cap room, so he released Skiff and replaced him with more inexpensive players. At this press conference, he also told reporters that the reason for his retirement was due to a knee injury, and we could see a return from him in the future. The Missouri Groundhogs approached the first ever BFL playoff tournament with just a 3-man roster that didn't include their new addition of Ben Hershowitz, who couldn't make it to the game. They were led by Coach Ulrich Meyer from the sidelines, and the roster consisted of Greg Bliss, Nigel Wormser, and Charles Harder. That game did have some bright spots for Missouri, but they inevitably fell to one of the top 3 teams in the league, Miami. They took a tough 8-4 blowout loss and had to forfeit their hopes of winning the first ever BFL Super Bowl.
I'm Charles Harder, former star quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and punter for the Missouri Groundhogs. Losing last year in the first round of the playoffs to Miami was extremely disappointing and hard, especially because I thought I had a good game. I had a lot of rushing yards, a touchdown catch or two, and a really good punt in there somewhere. But, you know, we lost the game, and frankly, that wasn't surprising because the Groundhogs organization is just dysfunctional, top to bottom. And I'm not going to point the finger of blame at one person, but I think it has a lot to do with upper management and coaching. And right after that game, I knew I wanted out of Missouri.
Going into the offseason, it was a different feeling for Missouri. They had a core three of Gelati, Meyer, and Coleman. They had the first pick in every round of the draft. They felt like they had a fresh start. And now, announcing the first ever pick in the first ever BFL draft, Fortnite's own TTV DCAT Jones.
Overall pick in the 2020 draft, the Missouri Groundhogs pick Logan Piazza.
Piazza was one of the best players in the draft and exactly what this team needed.
I mean, man, being the number one pick, there's nothing really to say. Speaks for itself. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't really show out that much last season. My vert has gone up like crazy. I'm a lot quicker. Get a lot lower on those spin moves. You know, that's my deadliest move. Groundhogs, not going to lie, I'm going to have to carry these boys. But I think we got a good group of guys. I need someone just to throw the ball up. I'm going to go get it. And Eric Stolen, you have no idea what's coming this season, dog.
Hey, Kieran, hand me a coffee, maybe a stogie. Let me see here. With the 11th pick in the 2020 BFL draft, the Missouri Groundhogs select the Wicked Pisser, James Doyle.
With 31st overall pick in the 2020 BFL draft, the Missouri Groundhogs select Sebastian Diamico.
The Missouri Groundhogs had the biggest draft class of any team, and it looked like they were set to go with a decent team for the 2020 season. They had a passing offense that was unlike they'd seen in a very long time, maybe since the days of Skiff. But that was about to change. Much like their former teammate Shane Skiff, two of the longest-standing Groundhog players, Charles Harder and Nigel Wormser, decided they had enough. With the COVID-19 epidemic canceling high school spring sports, 6 new teams were added. Charles Harder would be at the head of one of these new teams, and joining him would be Nigel Wormser and Greg Bliss. The Groundhogs found themselves in a spot where the only player that had stuck with them through it all was Nick Giolotti. Everyone else had left.
I'm Nigel Wormser, former wide receiver and corner for the Missouri Groundhogs. And frankly, the Groundhogs organization is dysfunctional. Their upper management is extremely poor. I actually ended up writing most of our plays myself. And after our first round exit to Miami, the front office fell into further disarray. There were several arrests. Team owner Tyler Coleman became dependent on several hard drugs. And when head coach Ulrich Meyer started pressuring me to commit fraud, I knew it was time to leave. The final straw was their awful draft, and when former teammate Charles Harder offered me a spot on his new team, I knew I had to take it. Looking back on that hard time in my life, I can say with absolute certainty that leaving the Missouri Groundhogs was the best decision I have ever made.
I really wanted to live up to that spirit, the Groundhog spirit.
Now, with a completely fresh roster, the Groundhogs had to ask themselves, what are we going to do to stay relevant in 2020? Despite being at the bottom of almost every analyst power rankings, they found a way to get themselves a primetime spot by starting beef with the league's best team. And welcome back, folks. As always, I'm your host, Carson DeRosa. We're back here with a brand new season of Backyard Football, and it's going to be an exciting one, folks. The matchup we've all been waiting for, Missouri versus Toronto. Roger, give me your take for today, please. Thank you, Carson. To be honest with you, I've got a 1-1 split today. I do think that Toronto's going to take that first game by a score of 3-0 behind a big game from Stolen and Roberts. But then I really do think that Piazza's going to rally the troops, get them going. They're going to win the next game 3-2. They are the home team, which means they have the ball first to 3. It just adds up, in my opinion. I think they can do it. Well, that's an interesting take, Roger. I do have Toronto winning both games. I think Stolen's going to have a huge day. We could see 4 or 5 touchdowns. He's definitely got the skill to do it. But really, what it's going to come down to is the amount that he's playing on offense, really, because he's got one hell of a team. He's got so many pieces that can play on offense, that can play on defense, so it's really going to come down to where he wants to put them. So, all that being said, I think the first game, Toronto's going to win 3-0, and in the second game, I think they're also going to win 3-1. So let's get into those comments on social media, Roger. We saw Piazza and Stolen get into it. We saw Coleman and Lawson get into it. Really, tell me, who won those arguments, and who's going to win it out on the field today? Well, we will show some of what was said here as I'm speaking. For starters, I have to say this Stolen-Piazza beef, I'd give it a tie, to be honest with you. Stolen had some good roasts. I think they were superior to that of Piazza. But in the end, Piazza was trying to be the bigger man. He was trying to walk away. He was trying to end it. Stolen just wouldn't happen. He kept reaching out. That desperation really takes away from it. And as for out on the field, I mean, I got to give it to Stolen. Stolen, best player in the league. Piazza's definitely great. But I'd just give Stolen that slight edge out there, especially because he does have a big team behind him, and Logan, he doesn't really have much. And as for Lawson and Coleman, that was pretty one-sided, and I think it'll be the same here today out on the field. Well, folks, you heard it here first. Let's not make any more unnecessary delays. Let's bring it down to the field for some player interviews.
Show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through a drought. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch.